Hey friends, welcome back to Phoenix edition of Stag and Pennies. We took the red eye back last night, both of us. We landed late and we got in here early to record this thing for you guys and to catch up on all things Phoenix. Corey LaJoy alongside Ryan Flores, bringing some Stag and Pennies to you. It's going to be a great show, so buckle up.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
And we're in it. Morning, guys. Hope your day's going fantastic. Corey LaJoy here alongside Ryan Flores. What time did you get back last night, buddy?
I got back, landed, I think I was in the door at 2:15.
That was pretty good.
Wasn't
Same.
bad.
Yeah, about the same. I flew out there on Saturday morning, commercial, had a couple meetings, had some fun. There's like 3 places in the world that I could see myself moving to. One of them's like Salt Lake area, Park City. And I could live in Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I could see why some of these guys are headed out west. Larson stays out there a lot.
Yeah.
Where would you live?
Probably Jersey Shore.
That's what I wanted.
When you're from Paradise, you don't really go anywhere else.
Jersey Shore.
Desert people are weird
or
too,
landfill.
bro.
That's what I just picture.
I don't know, dude. The desert. I stay out of the desert. Go,
Sure.
dabble, fly home.
I think I don't know. I think it'd be nice for like a couple weeks and then I'd be tired. I'd rather live nowhere else but right here, man. Be honest with you.
I like being by the ocean, just because that's where I grew up. So I like being by the ocean. I feel like I'm too far away from the ocean here. I don't like it. I've been here for 20 years. Still don't love it. But I don't know. A lot of exciting racing this weekend in Phoenix. The racetrack, all 3 races. Exciting finishes.
Yeah.
Before we get too deep, let's start jumping to the ARCA race. Steve-O, shout out. His car was hauling the mail, but
Steven Dawson,
late race.
one of the original field
restart.
fillers.
Yeah. One of the late race restart, though. They have a different.
Hang on, let's give some context to Steve-O for a minute. So
Yeah.
Steve-O went to NASCAR Technical Institute. He was my best buddy since the time I've been 14 years old, 15 years old. He was like the one guy. If we're sitting in Dad's shop right now in the Joy of Seaton, which is where we race late models out of, race K&N out of, raced ARCA, and we had countless all-nighters, and just him and me, Steve-O. So he was one of the guys, and also another guy who passed away, Doug Chenard, was one of those like really instrumental. Ron Otto as well, that like got my career going. And it's cool to see Steve-O. He dabbled at he was the truck chief at Tyler Young Motorsports for a while. Then he went over to, was it PRG?
He's at PRG now, yeah.
And he was kind of a study underneath Shane Huffman. Shane Huffman's now the general manager of that team. And now Steve-O is the crew chief on that 28. Brandon Butterbean McQueen, but also
Brendan Queen.
I know. I'm always going to call him Brandon Butterbean McQueen for the end of time. That's just what I'm sorry.
I said you know his name's Brendan Queen, right?
He's Butterbean McQueen.
Like, yeah.
Lightning McQueen.
A lot of a different overtime rule there, where they don't they finish under green.
Hang on, I was confused for a second too. This is in the weeds. They rained out qualifying, right?
Yeah.
But then they took a picture with Brent Cruz holding the pole award. Is that true?
Well, yeah.
I saw a picture of Brent.
I think you still get. I mean, if you still get the pole award if it gets rained out.
But you shouldn't take a picture like you earn the pole award if it gets
you
rained out.
Earned it from points on last year by practice speed, right?
But he wasn't driving that car last year.
Well, he got the ride, so he earned that, I guess. I don't know. Hell.
No, don't take the picture and post it. Like you laid a heater of a lap down. No, it rained, and then they gave you this headband. So I got a bone to pick with that. But nonetheless, shout out to Brent Cruz. But
do you like that restart rule there? Do you like that overtime rule?
What overtime rule?
Where they race back to the checkered, it's got to be green because the white flag was out and the caution comes out, and then they have to race it out. You don't.
Hang on, is that different than like everything else we do?
Well, everything else, if the white flag comes out, the next flag ends the race. There you have to cross the finish line.
Oh, there's unlimited green flag attempts to finish the race. I like that. Now, in ARCA, it could end up with 2 cars, 1 car winning, or 1 car finishing the race.
Yeah, that's the tough series. They made it back the next restart. It was good. I mean, I think it's interesting and we'll get to this later, but the fact that the leader doesn't always protect the bottom in the 3 and 4 at Phoenix, you have to protect the bottom. But a couple of things I want to touch on for the ARCA race. Steve-O, we talk about. I think everybody talks about drivers realizing their dreams, but like Steve-O is a perfect example of somebody that's been chasing his dream. Now he gets the opportunity, wins Daytona, puts himself in position to win Phoenix. But another guy, Eric Brennan, who's been just grinding it out in Cars Tour. He started at Wall Stadium. He got his debut on Network Fox this weekend calling that race, and he absolutely crushed it.
Oh, love that.
So, and I'm glad that he was able to call this final restart and a great finish, because that helps. You
This
guys
is the
have
first time I'm watching
hit
it,
play.
so run the tape.
Danny, if you pull it up, hit play, Danny.
So
This is a
Brandon
still shot.
Butterbean McQueen goes into 3. Oh man, he kind of missed the bottom there. Drag race. Oh dang. Actually, people were mad at Brent Cruz about that.
No, people were just frustrated with the situation because they thought that the race should have been. Oh yeah, they were mad at him for it. Yes, because he doored him. He did door him. When you look at it from the other angle, it doesn't look like he doors
I thought
him.
that was the exact same finish as the other 2 races of the weekend.
You can't give somebody your left rear. I feel like here we learned it with Austin. The first time I saw it was with Austin Cindric and Daniel Hemrick. If you give them your left rear, you're boned, man. You got to park that thing on the bottom and let them run on your bumper.
That's it.
That's the only play here coming to the checkered.
And just stop them.
Just stop. Pow, pow.
So
same thing happens
Brent
here in the
Cruz,
Xfinity
16 years
race.
old, gets the dub in the ARCA race. He's going to be he's the next guy up, following Zillage.
He's 16.
Yeah.
I feel like this
I
kid
feel like he's
just
been
never
16.
ages.
I feel like he's been 16 for 3 years now, but I'm not going to check the birth certificate.
Same.
He was 16 2 years ago when I ran that ARCA race at Watkins Glen. But anyways,
It's like Paulie Hartwig. He's 12. He's 14. I don't know how old he is.
I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, fast forward to Saturday. Alex Bowman, the showman, running that Hendrick Xfinity car, goes and
Missed it too.
hang on. Well, he completely missed it. But I can also understand giving the bottom, not that it's right, I could make a case for taking the top, anticipating the drag race so you don't get drove in the left rear and get spun out.
Okay,
But
let me ask you a
even though
question.
it hasn't worked for anybody at Phoenix ever, I could also see why people want to choose that.
Could you see a case if you're in the Wild West and you're in a gun draw and you let that guy start with his gun pointing at you and you got to have yours in your pocket? Because that's what he's doing. Like, you're just giving him a clear advantage. Everybody knows that if you're coming to the win, if somebody gives you the bottom
You're taking
and
it.
you
and
don't
then
run into their door, you didn't want to win.
That's right.
Like, if Alex Bowman's mad here, I understand that he's mad, but any winner in the field is going to drive in there and drive into your door.
Yeah. And also drive you straight in the fence, which this is what you have to do if you want to win. Shout out Eric Amarola. I texted him. I said, hey, man, how is it that you got better after you retired?
I'm looking to do that, actually.
I want to get better after I retire. And he's like, it's just
he's wheeling that
he
thing.
is
Yeah, they're
wheeling
just
that
on the
thing.
gas. Like, that's what people think, that you just come up and like, oh, I turn you in the fence. No, he's driving.
He's driving that thing. Trying to get traction. And he's like, it is surprising how much better you get when you get a car that turns, stops, and goes. And I was like, I wouldn't know. It looks like it's fun. But Eric Amarola, I think his batting average in that 19 cars and the 20 car last year is pretty freaking good.
Yeah, but that race, man, the end of that race, that's why these last 2 finishes we just saw, ARCA and Xfinity, and then it'll lead us to Cup, is why they reconfigured Phoenix the way they did for that.
Yeah.
So really awesome to see all 3 races finish that way this weekend. The Cup race, man, now that we are ready to switch gears in the Cup race, a lot of calamity, and it started early.
Well, this is the first time I've actually watched a Cup race at the track in 9 years. Because last week was the first week I haven't been in the car, but I watched it like in the war room. I was like, had all the metrics to look at. Here I went and I was just like a spectator walking through the fan zone. I was with all the Amazon guys that probably had 8 or 9 people out there. Their crew just kind of getting a lay of the land. So it was cool to spend some time with those guys. And I had my earplugs in, scanning some guys, but I literally really was disengaged with kind of the intricacies of the race. So I got to see it from a fan's point of view. And every restart, you're like, how the hell don't these guys crash? Because they're legitimately 5 wide. And I also, when I'm in the car, I think about that too. Like, we're going to crash at any given time, especially when you're 14 wide off of 2. Like we saw a couple incidents. Getting in the corner looks more wide because everybody's on the dog leg and you've got guys 2 or 3 lanes in the bottom on the apron. But it's when everybody tries to funnel off of 2, it gets real tight, and that's when you start getting some guys right front fenders into the left rear quarter panels, and that's when you start getting some bent feelings. So run the tape first, not the first caution of the day, second caution of the day. Ricky Stenhouse, 41 into the 34, into the 47, spins out. Oh. Alex Bowman barely missed it. Cole, the Colonel, Cole Custer.
Oh, Bowman.
Yeah, very close. In-cars coming up here. Who we got? If you're watching this on YouTube, that's how we recommend you watching these. We have all the clips.
Whoa.
SVG,
Square
clear.
up.
I'm through it, Harry.
His in-car from the next one, too, is impressive.
Well, when he gets wadded up.
Let's see the 48.
Oh, boy, that was so close.
I think I'm good. That's where you see if your wheel's straight.
And you hope to God that your right rear toe link's not bent. But he comes back and rallies for where'd he finish?
He finished top 10.
Yeah, top.
Yeah, 48.
Alex Bowman and Phoenix just get along like lamb and tuna fish. That's essentially finished 7th. That's essentially where Alex Bowman's career was made when he filled in for Dale Jr. and spun out Matt Kenseth. I think he finished 2nd or 3rd in that race, maybe. But that was like a lifetime ago, seems like. But anyways, this one was the one here, watching this clip, that I was like, Joey knows better than that. Now, there's nobody for any to gauge off of, but that has been, this restart violation topic is the only thing that the officials are watching at Phoenix. They're going to get somebody every single race. And unfortunately for Joey, he was a control car. He had a very fast Hunt Brothers Pete's Ford Mustang. And
he was not the control car here, I don't think, was he?
Yeah.
Was he?
Yeah, he passed Willie B and was driving off into the sunset. He was dialed, dude. So comes in the restart zone here, goes late in the zone, and can't do that.
No way! I've heard this seen from the angle on TV. They're saying we dropped below the yellow too soon.
They're not saying it because he did it. Can't do that. Doesn't matter if it's by an inch or by a car width. And this essentially changed. I was standing over by your pit box, Ryan, when this all happened. And I told the Amazon guy, I said, this is going to change up Paul and Joey's strategy for these reds because they're going to have to figure out how to get this track position back. And that's what essentially changed the 22's day because he had the car to beat early, it looked like. But then he had to put reds on off sequence relative to the 20 car. And then at the end of the day, when everybody puts reds on, he's down a set. But that's into the weeds a little bit. And it took Joey a long time to get back. Eventually, he drove back into the top 10, but then he got off sequence with his reds. I thought that the option tire is good.
I thought it was great. I hate when people call it a gimmick. Like, what do you mean it's a gimmick? It's just opportunities for your crew chiefs and for
to outsmart
people to be better. Like, there's just literally what it's called. Options create opportunity.
Yep.
You saw it was a success. I knew it was a success right away when the 60 car went from 33rd to 3rd.
Yep.
And then he hung there.
Yep.
And then you'd put your yellows back on and you wouldn't bleed too far.
Right.
So it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And then you get a couple late race cautions.
And then you pay the penalty.
Well, also, yeah, you pay the penalty if you keep on. You don't want to leave them laying. You want to use them. But then you saw some guys that were going to do the old Richmond split the final stage. Some guys pitted, put the reds on or go back to yellows.
Yep.
If you put your reds on and it ran out, you were going to pay the price on the back end of the run.
About 42 laps was the crossover. I think everybody was interested to see when that crossover of when yellow started to become a touch faster. And I think that 40 lap number is a perfect amount because I think a fuel run there is, I don't know, 80 some odd laps. So
yeah, and
about
then
halfway the run.
Well, then it mixes the field up, right? Because you've seen
it's hard to follow along. I will say when you're watching it from the racetrack, it might be a bit easier when you're watching it from home. But I wish that the left side they had the option little deal there, but they needed to do a better job of letting you know who was on what. Maybe they did because I wasn't really following along, but they need to have like little markers on who's on what tire.
Yeah,
but I appreciated the fact. If that whole third run goes green and they can put tires on under a green flag sequence, Priest runs in the top 5 because that was like the bed that they made and that was the gamble. And it was one caution away from working out in their favor.
He also got up there and got stage points. Got a lot of them.
That's right.
And that's a big deal. I mean, we got to talk about that. Like, we've had a couple races where we've got wrecked, and we're fourth in points because of stage points. Even this race, right? We end up blowing up, but we had good stage points both stages, and it saved your day.
That's right.
So that's important.
Shout out to Goodyear for bringing that option tire back.
And people, here's the question. Well, we might get to the question of the week. I haven't gotten there yet. So let's just go to the big one next. Because this big one here is exactly what you talked about. And
there's 5 cars going for 2 lanes. It's just not going to work. And I've watched this back multiple times. Cole Custer was in every wreck off turn 2, unfortunately for him. Finally gets to a place where he had a little bit of track position and then gets to crash again. But
so who is this one on?
I don't know. I watched this 4 or 5 different times, and I'm like, who started this thing? And it's just what they call race and deal, man.
Well,
but do we have any in-car cameras? So you got the 54, the 7, the 19, and the 77. You know, the 54.
Oh, the 9.
Well, the 19 kind of drove over the
19
7s right
drove over the
front.
7, yeah.
That's a large impact.
Spire
those
sandwich,
fellas.
buddy.
Yeah, you hate to see it. A lot of carnage in that one. A lot of carnage.
So the deal is, like, everybody blows
and
it
Bowman,
in.
Right in the middle of that one, comes through the smoke.
I'm through it, Harry. But it's exactly how Joey Logano won the championship. And it happens to us later in the race, right?
Man.
You funnel, everybody gets in there and they get themselves in a good position of where you think you want to be for exit.
Yep.
And it just depends on what guy slips, and he drags everybody back with him. And it goes from 5 to 3. So if you're not in the right position and you get stuck behind the wrong guy, you're done. And then this is just a common case of trying to set yourself up to be in a better position, because you can gain 5 or 10 spots right there, like with the right restart.
The only time that you pass cars really at Phoenix.
Absolutely. And if you just get a little too aggressive and you get a little sideways, since you're 5 wide, there's nowhere to go, and that's exactly what happened there.
Gosh, man, that happened so freaking fast. That's a large impact from the 77 there. 7's in car. I put that on the 19.
I put that one on the 19
but
as well.
You're talking inches, right? You're talking centimeters of his left front tire just
Are we
catching
going
the
metric system, or are we going standard?
We're going
inches
both.
or centimeters?
We're going, because we have a lot of listeners in Australia too.
Okay.
They make fun of us for using the imperial system.
Yeah.
What do you, 3 centimeters? I don't know.
Well,
that was a large crash. Took out how many people? I don't know. Several
bunch.
Good ones.
A bunch. Next one, 78, spun in front of us and the 99. Got the 99. It was close to us too. She was underneath the 21, trying to stay out of the way, and just tough day for
for Catherine Legg. Also a tough racetrack to come drive a Cup car for the first time. Phoenix is a tough place, especially to get a feel for the tire. As flat as it is, it's just
saw a lot of people on social media just kind of picking apart her day, and then you realize how hard it is to run a Cup car, right? Like just even to not okay. Let's leave the wrecks and the cautions caused out of it, but just like people picking apart like how she shifts, how rough the shifts were. There's a lot to digest in a Cup race, and for her to jump in and do it there, man, it's a really, really challenging race and racetrack. So kudos for doing it, but tough on the day. I told Danny, because Danny was there doing media stuff for her, and I said, man, hopefully she just stays off of TV tomorrow, because if you're on TV, if you're on TV, it's not going to be good. You say that. That's your adage.
When somebody comes to me and it's one of their first races, whether it's an Xfinity truck or Cup, especially if you're not in a contending car, your goal is to not get on TV. If you're on TV, you're having a bad day. And unfortunately for her, that camera was literally panning her for like 3 laps when she was on that. And then inevitably, that's the TV curse. Is anytime you're on TV, that's what's when you crash. So, and this is not the clip that you want to watch.
Tough day for the boys. He called this, I don't know, probably 100 to go. He's like, I think I'm blowing up.
Smoke out the pipes.
There was a situation in Martinsville a couple years ago where the shift, like something shifted weird, and he's like, "Oh, second gear!" Or like he yelled about it. So I was like, man, is he just like
So right when he went,
feeling it? Like, is he feeling something that didn't happen? Because he said he's like, I'm blowing up, and then he just went and passed like 4 cars. I'm
well,
like,
they always run the best right before they blow up too.
He called that
Nice and loose.
He called that it was blowing up
Well,
quite a bit earlier, and then Timmy was like, all right, we just blew up. It's like, damn it, because we were still gonna. I felt like we still had an opportunity to run top 5. Now Ryan, the driver, always has, especially with motor stuff, it seems like the driver always
goes to worst case scenario.
Well, yes, like a drastic opinion of it. So you don't always, I don't know, you kind of sometimes maybe you think you're crying wolf, right? Like that's exactly why I bring up what happened in Martinsville a couple of years ago. He's like, I lost 5th gear. And you're like, then he's like, oh, never mind.
You
know, but like it was frantic at first. And I feel that. Like when I go race and there's some little tick in the motor, I'm like, oh, we're blowing up.
Yep.
But yeah, he felt that pretty early. And
well, Phoenix is tough on motors, man. You can stretch on restarts. You stretch 4th gear down the backstretch, and you can decide to pull 5th in qualifying. Some guys stretch 4th, and it's a track that the engine builders don't necessarily like going to because you are in high RPM and there's a lot of load on that thing, and you are, especially there's guys aggressive. Not saying that this is the culprit or not, but downshifting from 5th to 4th into 1. Some guys are grabbing it a bit earlier and getting it up. Reverse RPM when the wheels are moving faster than what the motor is, and it blows it potentially blows it past the rev limiter, then that's the revs they can't control. They can control the revs when they get up to it naturally and it hits the chip, but when it goes downshifted over the rev chip is when it goes bang in the top end. And obviously there's a drastic speed difference, probably 4 to 5 tenths on red tires versus yellow tires.
Yeah.
So if maybe the first couple laps on reds after a restart, you might be hitting the chip more and
figuring out where to shift, right? It's a different shift point because you're in a different spot of the power band, and
who knows?
Yeah.
But you don't generally see a Roush Yates power plant blow up like that very often.
Breaks the streaks, top 10s, but we ain't worried about that streak. That's what we said in the truck. They were like,
I don't think anybody's going to beat Harvick's 20 straight top 10s.
Well, we were coming for it, but we blew up.
Where were you?
I don't know. About halfway there.
Really?
We were close.
Restart the cycle.
So it's okay. We're not there. We're not here to. Those are
for the records.
Those are the records that don't give out any trophies or any bonuses, so they don't really matter.
That's right.
JGR had brake issues. This is a kind of a. Ooh, that's not JGR. That's 2311.
Might as well be. So this was super interesting to me because I was in race control for this. There was like. And the guys too were like, man, I had a right front go down. No, he broke a right front rotor and went through the wheel. Then that's why the tire went bang. So I'm in one of the booths right next door. I'm in between TV booth and I'm in between race control. There's Elton Sawyer. Hot. There's and that guy just raw dogging that thing with a 1,000-degree rotor with just a mechanics work glove on. He's like, ow.
This was a bad idea.
Yeah, but you're committed once you pick it up. Like, what are you going to do? Put it back down?
Hot potato.
Yeah, literally hot potato that thing to the back of the truck. And there's race control next to me, and they have probably 10 people in there. I've never had this viewpoint in my life, right? Everybody thinks they knows the process of what goes on. I didn't know if there was this big, easy button type thing that there's a couple people trying to smack to put out a yellow. That wasn't the case this weekend. So the sequence had just started. The 24 pitted, the 9 pitted. A couple guys started the cycle early in the last stage. And I've always been under the understanding that NASCAR, in their best ability, wants to see its cycle play out. They don't want to throw a yellow in the middle of a cycle. So I see the 23 in the fence. I'm looking over, and Brad Moran's standing up. He's got the button, the detonator in his hand.
Is it?
It's red.
Oh.
Little tiny red button. And he's locked in. And I'm sitting next to Alex Strain from Amazon. Hey, look. So I'm like watching this transpire. Like I look at the 23. He takes a hard left. He's looking. He's like looking at it. But he's also, now they have the screens and they have all the things and they've got the replay. And he sees the 23 making on pit road. So now they're looking like, okay, did he blow a right front tire? What happened? And in the span of about 4 seconds, they realized he blew a rotor and instantly, and also it was a large impact. So I don't know if they threw it because he hit the fence hard or realized it was a rotor. So 100% of the time there's going to be bits and pieces of that rotor that's going to cut somebody's tire down. And he was like, looked down, looked at all the stuff, and then he put it out. And I was like, okay, that was a pretty decent sequence there of like how they looked at everything they had, because as soon as they found out there was rotor and some debris in the track, they put it out. When they probably had in their mind to let it play out, and then they looked at all the information they had at hand, and they made the correct call. So shout out to Brad Moran. And I thought Jusan was the one that held the detonator switch.
I don't know.
Wasn't this week.
Yeah, good to know. I didn't know Brad Moran even did that. Ever.
Neither did I. But he was up there, and he pushed the button.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
It's good to see how that works. 54's in car here. What's this?
Oh. That looks like a rear rotor.
Too. Yeah, right rear.
Yeah, that looks like a rear rotor. So I don't know if they talked about it in the broadcast. They probably did. You have two options of rotors. Oh boy.
Is it
Oh
left
boy.
front?
Oh boy. Yeah. Boom.
Tough year for Ty Gibbs.
Tough end of the year and tough beginning of the year for Ty Gibbs. Like atrocious. And
other than the Daytona 500 where he finished like 16th or something, he's been in
worse than 33rd for like 8 weeks in a row.
Oh.
And we all know that he is one of the best talents that we ever had coming through the ranks. So something has to get back on the rails with that 54 team, and I want them to be successful. I like Ty. I want to get him in here and talk about it, because it's easy to talk about it when you're all chipper and you win the races. It's not easy to talk about it when you're going through the slump of all slumps.
Yeah.
So Ty Gibbs, come on in here, buddy. We'll try to talk this thing out so about 100,000 people can listen to how hard it is to be a Cup driver. But there's two options. Back to it. There's two options of rotors. There's a heavy-duty rotor and a light-duty rotor. And teams have the option to run a light-duty rotor to save some rotating weight, a little bit of speed there. I don't know what they generally lend towards, but there's a couple different things going on at once. Phoenix is a relatively long track with long straightaways where you use a lot of brake. So your brake temperatures go up in the corners, call it 800 degrees, 900 degrees in rotor temp, and then they cool down every lap. So that delta of temperature, if the brake tape on the nose isn't right and it has too much of a delta between peak temp and low temp, it eventually makes that rotor expand and contract enough to where it cracks. And then as you see towards the end of the race, they blow. It wasn't coincidence that JGR, Toyota in general, probably had some formula of brake tape and rotor combination and also pad combination that distressed the rotors enough to make them blow. And it also has to do, if you, on a restart, if you're tucked up behind somebody for 4 or 5 laps, your pedal will start getting soft because you're not getting airflow to the rotors. So you got to start peeking a left front headlight out or right front headlight out to get your brakes cooled down.
Well, even the 5 car at the end of the race was talking about how bad his brakes were shaking, right? So, and
that comes from when they're too cool. So they don't hold a consistent temp enough to where they start warping. And that's when they start warping, you got to hold brake pressure like under cautions and things like that to just get the rotors hot so they straighten out.
Yeah, and it's nothing new. And we saw Chris Bell have this problem in 2023 in the Championship 4 race. So, yeah, it's tough. Phoenix is tough on multiple levels. Then you throw in a option tire on all that, and no matter what, though, 3 races this weekend, 3 great finishes. I didn't really get to see this final restart because we were cleaning up the box.
Well, here you go. Let's
watch it together.
JGR teammates on the front row, 20 car in the 11. Chris Bell's going to be coming on here shortly. I'm excited to talk to him about what his thoughts were leading to this, because it is a mono duel in the desert. I thought the 5 was going to go bottom here. He thought about it, and he said, better not, because then all 3 of them would have crashed. I wonder what his thoughts were getting on the backstretch, because he was clear bottom with a run. Man,
he was barely clear, so he just didn't. I don't think he processed that he was clear fast enough.
Yeah,
it looked like there was a 60% chance he hooks the 20 and looks like an idiot.
No, it's probably like an 80% chance.
Yeah, it was being nice.
It's gonna be a drag race.
They touch.
They go down into 3. 20 car.
Oh, he did blow
really
it down
pounds
there.
it in there. Stays off of him, runs 11 up into the Petunias, and then a 20 car. Christopher Bell gets the win. 3 in a row for Adam Stevens, Christopher Bell, and that 20 team. Shout out. So I was walking back through the garage, and there was probably 50 people from Reese's who was on Christopher Bell's car, all, hats and shirts and the whole thing, and they watched it on the big screen, and they were electric, bro. They were so excited because we watched on the big screen. Like, they all walked up and we were all watching the same big screen in the fan zone, and they were like picking each other up and like, yes!
Dude, there's nothing better than
lane.
when your sponsor's activating at the racetrack and there's 50
yeah.
people there, 30 of them, it's
yeah.
their first race.
Oh yeah,
this is awesome.
yeah.
Well, let's not.
Let's not go ahead and put our thoughts to it. Let's get the man himself's thoughts. Christopher Bell coming up right after this. All right, everybody. Big guest joining Stag and Pennies all the way from his motorhome in Phoenix. Still rubbing the champagne off that trophy from yesterday. Back-to-back winner Christopher Bell joins the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. Thank you, boys, for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. Because it's early morning out there. How you feeling after that dub yesterday?
Oh, man. I mean, I don't think there's any other answer other than pretty freaking good. It's I can't put into words like how rewarding it feels for my entire team to finally get the results that we and they deserve. Like, they are, one of the best teams in the garage, and I am just the lucky guy to be behind the wheel.
Well, you say that modestly. It does take a dog such as yourself to get that thing in victory lane. 3 weeks in a row, 3 different style of racetracks, Atlanta, COTA, and now this 1 mile racetrack that we're going to be also setting the table for the championship. But I feel like just the overall sport has known the potential of this 20 team, and it's just been waiting for it to really reach it. And you have come out of the gate guns blazing. So is there anything different in the processes that you guys have done in the off season to refine it, or you just keep doing the same thing and now the results are just following?
Corey, that's a great question, and I appreciate you asking that, because the answer is we have changed nothing, and we're doing the same thing, the same routine that we've been doing for the past 24 months now, and it's just it's taken a long time for it to all come together. And I would say really since the playoffs in 2023, we got the pit crew swap, and from that point on, it was just a matter of getting all of us to gel and work together and pull the rope in the same direction. And now you're seeing the fruit of all of that coming together, and all of the efforts of every individual that works on this car, all the mechanics, the engineers, the boys that go over the wall. I mean, they're A-level. They're A-level personnel, and we're finally getting the fruit of that.
Yeah, I'd say there's absolutely no weakness to your team at all. And I know my answer to this, but I've heard the media talk about it, so I wanted to hear your answer. What do you say to the people that think you're peaking too early, right? That's always a conversation when you win this early. Like, they're like, oh, well, maybe it's too early. I know my answer, right? I want to win now all the time. But is there any worry of that in the back of your head at all?
I don't know. I mean, I feel we've been close to this for a long time now, and it's if we're peaking early, at least we got playoff points in the bank, I guess. And as long as we don't completely go to crap later on in the year, we'll have those points to fall back on. And that's what it's all about. It's all about scoring those playoff points. I learned the very valuable lesson the hard way that you never can have too many. You always need one more. And getting back to Martinsville in the closing laps, I hope I have enough. And we're making sure of that now.
I don't think that it's coincidence, though. It was a big story in the offseason that Joe softened his stance on allowing his drivers to go run extracurriculars. That's something that you and Kyle Larson really made your career on, right, is racing every possible night of the week that you could. And you've been very outspoken around the Chili Bowl, Tulsa Shootout, how appreciative you were for Joe allowing you to go do those things. So how does doing those things, winning down a sprint, winning a World Outlaw race in Volusia, running all this stuff in the off season made you a better, more confident driver for Sunday. And I also think that that's part of the reasons why you came out of the gate so hot.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, and being able to just stay sharp, and the Cup Series is littered with the best drivers in the world and most talented guys that we have available. So it you don't have an advantage for long once you get in the routine, but certainly those first couple races, if you've been sitting on the couch, there's no way that you're going to be as good as guys that have been racing throughout the off season. And once we get into the meat of the schedule, I think that advantage of running extracurricular races probably goes away. But one thing that doesn't go away is the mindset reset, or the mind reset, that comes from being able to do something different. And whenever you get into the grind of the schedule, we have an early off week. I think it's in April this year, but definitely like get into June, July, August, and it's like you're going to the racetrack over and over and over again, and you're going to have a stretch of bad races. Everybody does every year. And then if you don't have anything to get your mind off of it, it's just so easy to just kind of right now I'm on top, right? I'm going up, but at some point it's going to start going down. And having races throughout the week that get your mind off of it keeps you from tanking, and it allows you to bounce back up.
How long has it been since you drove a 410 sprint car?
So my last sprint car race before Volusia was July of 2022. I ran Pennsylvania Speed Week for a couple nights. I was at Port Royal Speedway. I remember it very clearly.
So you have to sit there on Flow and on Dirt Vision and watch Larson and High Limits and all this stuff kind of unfold. And we had Larson here a couple weeks ago, and he spoke on the fact that you guys have been racing a lot your whole career. I wonder... and he also spoke on the fact that you've gotten better than him most of his career, is what he said. So I wondered if it's a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, sitting back watching him and then hearing all of the Kyle Larson, best driver in the world, best driver ever, best driver of this generation. Now that they've kind of popped the cork and let you go back and race that stuff, is there a chip on your shoulder hearing that?
I don't have a chip on my shoulder today, but certainly – I did have some resentment, and it bothered me. Like I sitting on the couch watching races, watching Kyle getting to go do all the fun stuff that I wanted to do. It took me a little bit to be able to overcome that, and it wasn't until probably late 2023, maybe even, I would say late 2023 was whenever I finally came to peace with myself, and I had just accepted that I dirt racing was not in my cards right now, and it was my past life. Maybe it'll be in my future life, but it's not in my current life. And then once I did that, I started picking up new hobbies. Got a boat for the first time ever last year in 2024. So had a lot of fun on the lake. Never in a million years did I think I was going to have a boat. I always thought I'd be dirt track racing. But it took a while for me to, become accepting of what my life had turned into. And so, I don't think anybody is going to, hold a candle to what Kyle has accomplished over the last 5 years or whatever it's been. But, I'm glad that now I get to have some fun and just get my mind off of the Cup Series grind. Like both of you guys know how grinding it can be. And whenever it's going well, you probably don't need that. But whenever it's going bad, you definitely do.
What kind of boat you get?
I got a Mastercraft. So I did a lot of homework. I went and spent a lot of time with Malibu. I thought I was going to end up in a Malibu. And then the boys at Mastercraft, they hooked me up and treated me right, and I love that thing.
Do you wake board or wake surf? It's a big difference.
So I've done a little bit of both, but I'll be honest. So I used to wake board back whenever I lived in Indiana in my late teenage years, and I took a hard crash, and ever since then I haven't really been a big wakeboarder. So I love surfing because the speeds are a little bit slower and you feel like you can crash more without getting hurt. But one thing that I picked up was wake foiling, and wake foiling is my new
Oh.
love, man. That thing is so cool, where you're literally riding a wing out of the water. It's that's a lot of fun.
Can I get the invite during the summer? I'd love to try to wake foil. I'm going to invite myself on your boat,
Let's
Chris.
go. We'll do stacking pennies from the boat.
Stacking Pennies live from Christopher Bell's Mastercraft, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here first. All right, let's shift gears back to the race. Granted, I was hammering the 20 car. I think you guys are just jiving right now. Hammered you all week. If I was allowed to bet, I would have bet the house on you this week, and I would have been successful. So thank you for that, but I didn't. When you lined up as a control car for a green-white checker with the 11 car next to you, what is your – I watched the video that you put on NASCAR of you kind of recapping your thoughts through that, and I thought that was super interesting. But when you realize that you have your teammate, one of the best in the garage is lined up next to you, like what sort of game are you trying to play into this restart zone? Are you thinking about your approach into one? What's kind of going through your head there?
So the only thing that I'm thinking about is winning the launch, because I knew that if you could get clear, you were going to win the race. And if he got clear, he was going to win the race. And the last thing that I wanted was to end up side by side, because if you're side by side, the guy on the bottom is not normally in the winning position. So I knew Denny was going to go to the outside, and Larson was in third. And two restarts, or the second to last restart, Larson had picked fourth instead of third. And I was nervous because then I had a couple different guys behind me on the bottom. And I felt like if I could just get the same guy behind me on the bottom to push me, we could do better the more reps that we get. And Larson picked fourth again, and I'm like, oh no. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to try and get, I think it was Josh Berry who lined up behind me. But the last two restarts, the bottom row didn't get a good push. We didn't get connected well, and we ended up side by side. So, that literally the only thing that I was focused on was just trying to get a good push and get clear into one, which it didn't happen. And I didn't think I was going to win. I didn't think there was any way I was going to win whenever I ended up side by side with him.
Well, it was a coin toss down the backstretch, right? When your right front's up against Denny's door, it's like, are you thinking, okay, I'm going to send this son of a bitch in there until I see Jesus? Or it's like, I don't want to wreck my teammate. Like, what's what's like the understanding going into turn 3, racing for a win, of what is above board and what's not fair?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't. I'm literally thinking about, what is my best move? Do I try and pin it on the bottom and wrap the line and get a good exit? Do I overdrive the entry? And I didn't think that I would clear him, because he's going to drive in to match me so that he stays on my outside. And I really thought that if we exited side by side, he was going to have the momentum on the outside. So I truly, genuinely did not think I was winning that race. Coming to the white, I didn't think I was winning the race. And then the checker flag lap was the exact same, where we were side by side. I'm like, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know how I'm going to win. And I ended up with the drive it in deep strategy.
When did you decide that? Like, I'm gonna ship it.
Yeah, I mean, it was back and forth. Like, okay, wrap the bottom. Like, no, drive it in. So I don't know. It was just instinct, man. I'm like, all right, I'm getting it in the corner. And whenever I got in the corner, I'm like sliding. I'm like, loose, tight. And we both washed way up the racetrack. And then, yeah, Stevie Reeves, my spotter, had a great call. He was like, he told me to pull down. And then I pulled down and tried to come down the banking a little bit. And then Larson, I think, was going to try and shoot bottom of 3. And it squared him up. He hit me and got me to the line.
It was exciting.
That is exciting. Stevie Reeves probably won some races at Phoenix back in the old 9 midget in his day. But my question, you're the winner, so obviously you have a different view than everybody, but option tires. What were your thoughts going into the weekend, during the race, and now you don't like it?
No, I don't like having 2 tires where one tire is a significant advantage with planned yellow flags. So, F1, IndyCar, they have multiple options, but they don't have the stage brakes. And whenever you have a limited number of fast tires or an advantageous tire, and the competitive cars that are racing for the win, their strategy is spelled out. And that's what I don't think that the general public realizes. Like, it is a total gimmick. So if you are a competitive car that's racing for the lead, you have to save a set of tires for the end of the race. Because if you don't have a set of tires laying, whether it's a green, white, checkered, whether it's 10 to go, or in Phoenix instance, it's 30 to go, you are not going to win. So our strategy was spelled out that we had to have a set laying. And so that left one set of tires. And sure, we could have put it on at the start of stage 2, but if you don't have it at the start of stage 3, you're going to lose all your track position to the people who put it on at the start of stage 3. So, our strategy is this, and then the cars that aren't competitive, that don't have the pace, they're going to do the opposite, which they should do because that's their only chance to win. And they're going to use up both of their red sets early in the race and try and hope that a yellow flag doesn't come out late, and then they're in the winning spot. And if the yellow flag does come out, they're not going to win, but they aren't going to win anyway. So it really doesn't cost them anything. So, yeah, I mean, I have been very vocal about that, even through Richmond, that we did it last year. And, I understand that NASCAR has come to the drivers and said that their theory on it is they want to get data on it. It's the best test, which I can't argue that. It is a really good test for the tire, and trying to get it to be the primary for the fall, I think that's all, good stuff. But seeing option tires and multiple compounds throughout, races throughout the year, I'm not a fan of.
I could make an argument on the contrary, right? Your point's very valid, and I agree with it. I think, and I was a spectator this weekend, and I would also be probably in the category of the uncompetitive cars wanting to take the advantage of a gamble, right, to potentially put my reds on at a different time of a race-winning strategy and hope that it paid off, right? So as a spectator and a genuine fan of the sport, it was cool to see a 60 who might have been a 12th place car go up there, lead some laps, and his chips were all on the table, right? But I don't like the fact, agreeing with you, that a mistimed yellow, whether it's during a sequence or in the third stage in particular, could change the race and potentially take it away from one of the more dominant cars of the race. So it's really opinionated on what you think it is. But I also think that NASCAR doesn't want an option tire to put themselves in that box for the championship race. They don't want a mistimed caution to decide that based off of you sitting on a set of option tires in your pit, which I agree with. So it's hard to follow along a little bit to your point. I could argue the contrary. I like that it gives the guys that run 15th all day a little bit of a shot and hope the gamble potentially works out. But, I don't know. It's way above my pay grade, and I see your point as well.
No, I think that the way that you teed that up too, with knowing when the caution comes out, right, that makes a big difference.
For sure.
When you sit here, we've all had anxiety about, I'm sure you have in sprint car racing, about what right rear to put on for what the track condition is, but it is a whole nother level of knowing when the caution comes out. So I really appreciate that point.
Yeah, and we kind of made, we kind of, it's like a inside joke in a bit, because there was a quote from Gabe Hart, was it 2 years ago?
Magic.
That the 11 team just had the magic. It was just going right for them right now, right? And it seems like the 20 car now has grabbed that pot of gold, and now it's their magic, right? But it's great to hear you say it's not the magic, right? It's the consistent work of doing the details right, and now it's just doing things exceptional is what it seems like this 20 team is accustomed to. So how many wins do you think the 20 team is able to go get this year? You already won 75% of the races this year. Take it easy on everybody. Jesus.
Well, I will say last year we let a lot of them slip away. We won 3, and looking back at it, we could have, should have, would have gotten a lot more than 3, probably upwards of 10. And,
10, he says.
I don't know. I don't think our performance is going to be down from where it was last year. It hasn't been so far. So I don't know where our ceiling is, but I do know that last year we let a lot of races get away from us that shouldn't have got away from us. So just going to keep it rolling here.
What's your off week? You're staying out there. Obviously, you're sitting in your bus in Phoenix. What do you do during the weekend between Phoenix and Vegas?
So I have the sprint car race on Thursday, which was that's why we're here. I didn't want to have to fly all the way back to East Coast and come back to West Coast on Wednesday for the sprint car race. So, staying out here. We're actually going to go to Sedona to go do maybe some hiking, some sightseeing. Never been out to there, and go check it out.
Awesome. Well, we don't want to hold you up, buddy. Christopher Bell, congrats, man, on the hot start for that 20 team this season. We wish you well. Thanks for jumping on the show.
Thank you, boys.
All right, hey, buddy, we're back. That was fun talking to Christopher Bell. Glad he popped on with us. Had some interesting takes on option tires, not going to lie. So let's just go ahead and get pit road boats and woes. In his opinion, option tires was a woe. In my opinion, they were not a woe.
Well, we've talked about it often, right? When you have the best car, best team, and you're one of the best drivers, the last thing you want is more options or opportunities to anybody catch you.
Yep.
And, that, we talked about it earlier in the show. It's just options and opportunities, and it leaves them in a vulnerable place. It really does.
Or it takes away slightly their chances of winning.
Well, that's it. It
does.
Opens up some vulnerability. If the caution comes out at the wrong time and you made the wrong decision, I mean, that's sports. That's competing.
Yep.
And I understand where he's coming from. If I'm sitting in his bus right now, today, and I'm him in his shoes, I agree with him.
Yeah.
But if I look at it with clear eyes for what's best for the sport, and I'm the same way, right? 12 team, we've historically run really, really well at a lot of these racetracks where they want to bring option tires to. I want to win those races more than anything else. But if I look at it and take a step back with clear eyes, this is probably a better product for our fans and for our sport in general.
Well, it gets other names into the mix than the same four guys running up front all day, in my opinion. I mean,
well, even at that,
seeing a Ryan Preece drive to the lead and really push all of his chips on the table to lead some laps and hoping the caution comes out at the right or wrong time is kind of exciting to watch.
And,
watching the two-car drive to the lead or the top five, whatever it was, and then maintain his position, like you're then also aware now of those guys' strategy and who's got a set lane and who burned theirs up, and
it's not easy. I mean, the fact of going to Phoenix and doing 3 pit stops and a 2-tire at the end, right? That's not fun for anybody. So, kudos to Goodyear. Kudos to
a straight up race at Phoenix. And
sometimes can stink. It can stink sometimes.
Stinks and sucks sometimes. It gets drawn out, and if there's no late race yellow to re-rack it, it's a bit of a snoozer.
Yep.
So I would not call this race a snoozer because there was a lot of things you can follow along, and this option tire helped do that. But I also understand Chris's point. The winner of the race with some guys that were in the mix that probably are not generally in the mix, I could probably see why he doesn't like that.
Well, if you've been following along, speaking of Chris Bell and pit stops, his team, along with many, have gone to this new behind-the-back jack trick they're doing.
Let me see it. I haven't seen it yet. Bulldog was on a 7. Shout out Ludwig. He was one of the first ones to do this.
So this is Banks. He's new on the 45. 3 of these guys on the 45 from Stuart Hollis last year. He's going to swing the jack around his back.
That is slick.
Yeah.
He is smooth with it.
So
Junior Johnson's like looking down from heaven like, yeah, buddy, I like that.
Well, all this does here is it takes a step out. So at this point in time, all these guys can run around the car really fast, right? But instead of having to step back to the jack and grab it, see how he just stays right there at the right front and just reaches back?
Yeah.
And then it brings him closer to the car so he doesn't have the jack over the car. A lot of these guys are putting their hand on the car. One thing that's important to notice here is that if you've ever jacked up your car at home or you've used a jack in general,
I would say that about 98% of the people listening to the shows have never jacked their car up.
Or if the handle loosens and tightens, that's how you tighten the cylinder to jack it up, you loosen it to let the car down. The teams have gotten to a point where the jack handle self-tightens. So
what?
You loosen it, and then it's a self-tightening handle. You never have to crank it back tight.
So also a little bit of context. Teams are also they develop their own jacks. So there's fixed guns. Paoli makes the guns, but the jacks still are open competition.
They're open competition, yeah, and there's a lot of development that goes into these jacks. And if I would assume, I'm not sure, but I would assume that if you try to do that with a jack that doesn't have a self-tightening handle, it is very challenging because you lose where it is when you come around. So I'd have to do a little bit more digging because I don't know. I saw the Hendrick guys doing it. I saw the Hendrick jacks are super advanced. Gibbs as well. Gibbs has always been on the forefront of that stuff.
You have to be a burly fella to be able to get that son of a up.
Oh, yeah.
You ain't like, I can do everything that I can do, and I'm not.
I think you got to be 250 plus. 230 is probably
like
a min.
With like a 350 bench press.
Well, yeah, but you're just mass, right? Like
ass moves mass.
But you get into the realm of like, okay, what's best? Is it leverage? Because there's so many different things. Jack handle length, right? The length of the. If it's longer, it's easier to jack the car up. If it's shorter, you stay closer to the car. So it comes into mechanics and geometry, but also just footwork. And like we said, with this, it's not so much about the passing the jack behind your back that looks cool. It's taking a full step out, right? Because you can run faster, but if you can run faster than me, but I'm taking 2 less steps, who's going to get there first, right?
I don't know.
Especially in a 2-second runaround. So we've all gotten to terminal velocity of how fast you can do the job. Now you're just taking small movements out that are gaining you tenths of a second. And this is the next iteration of it. And it's cool to see some people throughout the offseason come in. And, man, I thought it was just going to be 1 or 2 guys. There's probably more people doing it on pit road than I thought were going to be. Like I said, Hendrick guys, 2311, Gibbs. I saw Moose on the 8 car doing it at RCR. So it's something that everybody's going to be looking at.
That's the next progression, like you were saying, of taking a step out, taking 8 inches of depth around the car out. And the first iteration of progression, I think, was the changers going left-handed.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's tough.
And that's relearning how to ride a bike backwards almost. And that's so wild to me to now. Like, those are the differences now. Is there anything left?
Well, it's new levels, new devils, right? You don't find the next thing until the thing that's holding you up holds you up. Then you get faster at that, and then, okay, what's the next thing that's slowing us down?
Yeah.
Okay, it's this.
Right.
Okay, it's this. So is it stop to the car coming up? Is it how we're pulling the tires out? Is it how the carrier's dropping the tire off? It's little things that you'll find, and you can't get the D before you go through A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, and it's always progressing.
I walked down to your pit box for the first stop.
Saw you back there.
And that was actually the first live pit stop I think that I've watched with a next-gen car. I wanted to guess. Do you know off the top of your head what your first stop time was?
It was like a 9.8.
Don't tell me. I was going to guess a 9.4.
Oh, yeah.
We had the left rear was a little slow. I wanted to see how close I was with my guesstimation.
Yeah, it's right. It was not right there. See, Phoenix is a place where we left. I think my team was a little discouraged in the speed, but also Phoenix is a place where your fastest stop it's not as fast as Vegas. The front wheels are very tight. It's
ride
slick
heights are
pit
low.
road. Ride heights are really low. Jack pegs are really, really low. So that all that stuff is just time. And when you're talking about hundredths and tenths of a second, right, it's that quick. So you kind of get caught up in the numbers, but you can at Phoenix. You have to keep your guy in the race all day.
And you got to keep all 4 tires on it, which unfortunately for the 51 was not the case.
What happened here? I just saw they were stuck there. I didn't know anything about it.
I don't know. I think you need 4 of those on the car to make it go. 3 is not the case.
And he's stuck there. He couldn't back up.
So he got stuck in second gear maybe, and now that the car can't roll, or he's not really trying to bump it, he can't shift it to reverse. I'm not really sure what was going on here. I don't think the team actually knew what was going on here because this is the second time by. So they pit it, put tires on it, and he comes back down, comes in the box, and kind of looks around like, hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see you again. And then pulls out of the box and the tire falls off.
Oh, no. Oh, so he pulled back in the box and nobody did anything?
Yeah, I guess not. But I don't know if there was
tough.
any radio transmission to say why he came back in the box. Nobody really realized that right where tires fall
So
off.
for me, if there's any questions and our car's ever back in the box, you got to raise your hand and be like, hey, just go tighten all 4 and make sure, right? Because you're there. You've already given up all your track position.
Right.
It's over.
Just go look at it.
Just look at it.
Obviously,
right?
the lug nut was off of that thing if they would have went over there and looked at it. So not a good transition there for the 51, but also luckily it fell off on pit road and not on the racetrack because that's a big difference. There's no penalty essentially if it falls off on pit road, correct?
Yes, there's no penalty if it falls off on pit road. And you got to think when
Besides the time loss and having to get towed back or pushed back, whatever it might be.
And then you think too on the 51, right? That's a Gibbs team. So they're at the bottom of the Gibbs depth chart. The guys doing that. So then if you lose them two guys, right?
Yeah.
Then
who are you getting?
You're getting guys that probably have never been to the racetrack before, right? So now you're just trying to get the wheels on the car, literally and figuratively. But the Gibbs has a lot of depth, a lot of really good guys there. That also, if a Gibbs team has problems, that hurts them because now these guys that are on the 51 at the track every week, they can't move up,
right?
Because they're out 2 weeks. So depth charts are more important than they've ever been, and teams have less and less depth than they ever had because you can't go train this on 5 lug nuts at the Xfinity rate. You know, like 5 nut, you had Xfinity guys, you had truck guys, you can call somebody that was doing well. Here it's just Cup guys.
Yeah.
There's 40 spots, if that, 38, whatever it is. And then you have a couple guys back waiting in the wings, but they're not at the track every week and knowing the nuances, and it's very hard.
What do we have with the 9 there keyed up?
He was just showing that they pitted off sequence there at the end of the race. It was kind of a Richmond situation, time over distance, and then the caution came out. It was going to be interesting to see how it all played out. Man, I thought it was going to be between the 20 and the 24. The 24 pitted here. He didn't get back out on the lead lap, so that took him out of it. The 45 was really good all day, too. They had an issue with power steering. They were set up. They felt like with their strategy, they were set up perfectly for the end of the race, but it didn't work out for them.
Yep.
One team that it did work out for is them dogs, buddy.
Who'd that be?
The dogs of the week. It's got to be the 20 car. 23, shout out to the 23 car. Couple new guys over there. They were fastest on pit road this weekend, P1 overall. But the 20 car, dude, they win the race off of pit road on the money stop, and they win their 3rd race in a row. Those guys have won at now a super speedway type drafting track, a road course, and now Phoenix, where we're going to crown a champion. So excited for them. Hey, let's list them. Not just the pit crew, right? Pit crew was great, though. Blake Houston, Darrell Edwards, shout out to him. He's doing the round the back. So it's been big for him to learn, and you could tell that he's put the work in through the off season and brought that to the racetrack. Michael Hicks.
Dog.
Absolute dog.
Sunglass dog.
Jake Holmes and Fuel Dog Peyton Moore.
Hey.
Man, but it goes deeper, right? To everybody on the team, to
Adam Stevens,
Chris Sherwood, the car chief, Wesley Lape, everybody that's on this thing. Chris mentioned Stevie Reeves, right?
Yep,
Long-time racer.
Up on the roof.
Been around a long time, and
that is a cohesive unit right now.
Absolutely. So excited
Dogs,
for them.
congrats.
Hey, first time in the next gen era,
3 in a row.
and the first dogs of the week. Here we go. Good job, boys.
Wow.
Slow down a little bit.
Take
Not
it
gonna
easy
have
on everybody.
any bonus money if they keep winning.
Well, you do have some pain for your thoughts, though. You might not have bonuses, but you got some pain for your thoughts questions. Fire them off. What we got?
I got Penny for your. Listen, this one is CJ Clary 12, but I think that stands for Andrew Higgy's burner account because he loves this question. Why is there no track limits at Phoenix?
Because there's just not.
There you go. Yeah, that's not a place where you need track limits, and they did that on purpose, right? I think your dad tells a story that he went there in a petty driving school car when they first repaved it, and he was like one of the first ones that cut it.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go that way.
Leave it to my dad.
Yeah.
Out there blowing dust up in some Bobby Labonte 1998 box.
Oh, boy. Next one comes from Logan Reese 8. Corey, you picking the Sprinter van or the C806 when you win the Freedom 500?
Well, announcement, ladies and gentlemen. I'm running the Freedom 500, and I'm taking this guy next to me. He's going to be my crew chief, and I'm also taking Sean Brennan to video the whole thing. Racing some Crown Vics around the Freedom Factory. I'm pumped up about that. Cletus McFarland puts that race in every year. It's going to be streamed somewhere. I'll get you some more information. I'm going to try to get him to zoom in and just do some publicity for the show leading up to it. I believe it's the first weekend in April. And he's given out, to Logan's point, a Sprinter van converted into like a little mini motorhome or a C8Z06. And I'll be honest with you, every time I see the new Z06s, I love them, man. Those things are so nasty. So I'm going down there to drive that Corvette back.
Oh, here.
Give me the title for that thing, Cletus. I'm coming for it. I've also got a spot picked out. I might even park that thing right here in the studio.
Let's go. Next one. Mike likes it 4638. Ryan does not like this question, but I will ask it anyway. Is Bell the way too early championship favorite?
Of course, he's won 3 out of the first 4 races.
Yeah.
And he's been in the championship 3 out of the last 4 years.
Yeah, I don't think there's any – obviously when you win 75% of the race to start the year, you are the favorite, but there's no favorites in this anymore.
Nope.
He's week by week once you get to the playoffs.
That's
but
right.
obviously he's the favorite because he's got the most playoff points, and right now he's the only one that's
Also, though,
him and the 24 are the only ones locked in the playoffs.
I just pulled up the standings yesterday on the plane, and surprisingly, he's not leading points.
He's not leading points.
24 is
cars
leading points.
Yep.
So shout out to Rudy and those fellas recovering from having to take the waiver around when they pitted off sequence and drove back to the top 10. And they retain that regular season point lead with only, 22 races to go. It's getting down to it.
This is fitting because we're heading to Vegas. Vegas Jeff 33 asked the question that we're going to close on here. Does the option tire give you hope for a great championship weekend? That's the question of the week, too. Like, do we run this tire at more short tracks and at the championship race? Chris Bell had a hot take on it.
He had a very hot take.
We just talked about it. What is your thought?
I don't think NASCAR wants to have option tires in the championship race they don't mind having the element of chance decide a winner in a regular season race. I don't think they want – there's certainly a level of luck and chance of the strategy when you have limited option tire available. And I don't think they want to introduce that element into the championship race. So I believe that they will have one tire, whether that's the option tire compound or the primary tire compound there. And I think that they're going to lean towards the option tire soft compound.
Okay, so what about Richmond's, New Hampshire, Iowa? What about races in the playoffs?
Give me every option tire all the time.
So in the playoffs?
A limited number, though. I think you
in
have
the playoffs?
Playoffs, yeah. Hell
so
yeah.
what's the difference between a third race and the end of the round of the playoffs and the championship race?
1 round.
Well, yeah. But if you're going to do it in the playoffs, you got to do it in the championship race as well. Because then you're admitting because if you do it everywhere else and you don't do it in the playoffs, then you're admitting that you think it's a gimmick.
I'm just telling you.
I'm saying if you're NASCAR, you're admitting that you think it's a gimmick.
I don't think gimmick's a harsh word.
I agree. I don't think it's a gimmick.
I think that it is.
I think it's an opportunity.
It is an opportunity that introduces some strategy, but it also introduces
so it's harder.
Chance.
It's harder on the crew chiefs.
No, that's a relative and objective term. Hard. Everything's hard.
I feel like we're in Congress right now.
Yeah.
Just answer the damn question.
No, I refuse.
Is it harder on the crew
fifth.
chiefs to call a race with option tires or with regular just one set of tires?
Every race and every car is different. So
answer the damn question.
Yeah, it's harder.
Yeah, and we don't want to make Oh no, we don't want to make the championship race too hard on you guys. That's what we're saying. I don't like it. We've won the last 3 championships. I don't want to change it. But you can't say, hey, no option tires for the championship race, but we can do them for everywhere else. Because then if you're NASCAR, you're just admitting that no, it's too hard for the championship race, and everybody on Twitter will just say, well, we crowned a champion because of this option tire. No, you didn't crown a champion because of the option tire.
Hey, you know what they should do?
You crown a champion because you had to have a good year and make it to the Final Four, and then you have an opportunity to win a championship if you make a better play or luck or fate is on your side to win a championship.
How about this? How about you go no option tires for the people except for the 4 championship contenders. and they get one set, one opportunity.
Yeah, everybody.
Use it when you want.
The whole field has to run yellows, but the whole race, the championship 4 get reds.
Yes.
But you have to start in the back after every caution and see who gets through. That's what we're doing.
Now we're talking.
Yes,
Ben, holler at me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text you my idea right quick. Yeah, you're on championship 4 on reds and have to start in the back every race.
After every sequence,
every caution to the back. May the best man win to the death.
We're the penny stackers of the week this week for that idea.
No, there was a couple good ones, man. I'm just getting groceries in Publix. It was last Wednesday. Also, every grocery trip now is $400. It's bizarre. I go in there for a pack of nabs, come out there with a grocery cart worth $400.
Let's go.
Nonetheless, I'm sitting there in the produce section picking out some Honeycrisp apples, and some guy was like, hey, man, not to interrupt, but you deserve a ride out there on Sunday. I listen to the show every week.
Let's go.
I said, thank you. How's this apple look? And he kept about his day. I didn't get his name. He just went off into the night. So shout out to that fella. Made me feel good. 2, 3 brothers that were in the garage, little fellas, 11, 8, maybe 8, 7. Listen to the show every week, they say. Maybe they were just blowing smoke in my ass. I don't know. But Jamison, Garrison, and Maddox Carrera, they are the Penny Stackers of the week as well. I like it when little kids say listen to the show, and I also apologize for cussing so much on the show if you're a kid. Just cover your ears. You got any Penny Stackers of the week?
That's it. No, their parents. Those are cool names.
Yeah.
Carrera. I wonder if that's to shock people.
I don't think it is. Jamison, Garrison, Maddox. Strong names. Anything grind your gears this week?
Nothing. I was good this week. Blowing motors. That's literally
grounding gears.
But yeah, I felt good. We had a great time in Phoenix. Even got a haircut out there. Love going out there and excited to go to Vegas this weekend, see some family.
That's one I'm like, oh man, I wish I was going. I've always ran well at Vegas. That one's a super fun track.
Yeah, it's one of the best. I think it's a total just evaluation of your team, right? There's no excuses, and I don't know. I'm excited about it, but you know what else I'm excited about?
What are you excited about?
That our full video show is now on Spotify.
You guys have been asking for it. That is pretty cool. I mean, we're pretty much on the same level as Joe Rogan now.
We're basically Joe Rogan.
Just
Danny.
what? A couple commas less viewers, but
Pull it up,
nonetheless,
Danny.
Pull it up. So yeah, that's gonna be cool. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you can also put the video up. Or if you continue to listen to us wherever you find your podcast, just give us a little 5-star rating and review us and follow us. We would very much appreciate it. Whether you're watching on the NASCAR channel on Tubi or on YouTube or wherever you find it, just give us a little love. Give us a little thumbs up. Give us a little comment. Well, you made some gesture.
You say it like such a redneck.
Tubi.
It's Tubi with the
No,
T.
it's Tubi.
Tubi.
Like chili chubbies.
Tubi. Tubi.
And then there's also Sirius XM Channel 90. Shout out to those fellas and you guys listening to us each and every week. We appreciate you and your time that you come listen to us. Have a great week. Keep stacking pennies. Corey LaJoy alongside Ryan Flores. Goodbye.